Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I thought it would be fun if we did an introduction to me, but more specifically to my style. If you have been watching my videos, you have seen a lot of my thrift with me and my haul videos. So you've seen a lot of my home decor and knickknacks and things like that, but you haven't seen a lot of me and you haven't seen a lot of my style, and you probably don't even know really anything about me, which is normal because I haven't really told you anything. But I thought it would be fun if we did kind of like a get to know, not really a get to know me per se. I'll save that for maybe like a Q&A or something, but kind of like a deep dive into my personal style. So yeah, I thought that would be fun to do today. And I can go into my fashion history, my inspirations, and where I get my clothes, all that kind of fun stuff. So let's go ahead and get started. So I first started going thrifting when I was about 12. I remember going thrifting with my mom and I found like 2 or 3 pairs of these vintage 1980s flats, kind of like this. And I just thought these were so cool and different. And I had never seen like flats before. You know, when you're 12 years old, you wear like tennis shoes or like sandals or something, but you know, flats, especially like vintage flats, that was brand new. And I thought that that was really cool. And I wore them with like skinny jeans that were like folded up. So they had like a cuff on them and they were like ankle length. I just thought that was just the coolest. I felt so different and so unique. And that's sort of where my obsession with thrifting and vintage started, really, I guess. Kids said that I dressed like a grandma, which is probably a fair statement. I still kind of dress like a grandma. So yeah, you can't blame them for that. Yeah, so that's when I kind of started playing around with what I would wear. And then going into high school, I would shop mostly at vintage shops. There was one shop in particular that I loved called Hobo's Vintage. I used to get pretty much all my clothing there, and it was really well priced as well. You know, it'd be like $20 for a dress, 10 to 12 for a top, and same for skirts and things. So yeah, I'd buy all my clothes from there. You know, one day I'd wear a 1970s outfit, one day I'd wear 1950s, 1960s. One day I'd just wear just a random mix of stuff just because it was fun and different and cool. Well, I thought it was anyways. If I didn't wear something as much anymore, or if I kind of finished wearing something else, I wasn't really into it anymore, I could take whatever vintage I had and I could bring it back to the shop and they would buy whatever vintage that they liked. They'd just pick through my clothes and buy it. And I could either get store credit or cash. So I would get the store credit and then I would just get a whole bunch of new clothes. And so that was a really fun system throughout high school for me. And then after high school, I got really into the 60s style and mod culture and fashion. And so yeah, I was wearing a lot of Fred Perry, a lot of 60s mini dresses, mini skirts, knee-high socks, meeting like-minded people at, you know, 60s music nights and things like that, and having a great time. And then after that, once my boyfriend and I moved to Germany, my style evolved more kind of towards like 1950s, 1940s style. I wasn't really too rigid on which decade I wore. I pretty much just wore whatever I liked and whatever I wanted to, really. And you know, I was inspired a lot by, you know, movie stars of the 1940s and 50s. And yeah, that was kind of the clothing I wore in my mid to late 20s. It wasn't something I, you know, decided, oh, I'm gonna kind of change up my style, but I suppose over the last couple of years I've sort of evolved again. I'm sort of like Benjamin Buttoning my fashion. I started at like the 80s and as a teenager, and then, you know, I'm just going backwards in time. Now I have really been inspired by early 1900s fashion, specifically the 1910s through the 1930s. I love every decade, really. I think there's something just wonderful about every single decade, and I continue to wear pieces from every decade. I suppose what I'm drawn towards and what I wear the most would be sort of like 1910s and 1920s inspired. In regards to fashion, the early 1900s are very, you know, in photos they look very romantic. The clothing is very feminine. A lot of their hair is really long, curly, and They wear, you know, dark lips, dark eyes, then exaggerated brows. And I'm just really drawn to that. I love it. I think it's beautiful. I love the colors, whites, creams, light yellow, seafoam green, baby pink, baby blue. Yeah, I'm really drawn to those, like that kind of soft color palette. I also really love the underwear that they wore back then, and I like to kind of wear the underwear as outerwear. So I see a lot of people who dress in period clothing, and they will wear like a 1900s outfit, and you'll watch the video where they get dressed and you see like their undergarments, and then they throw on the skirt and the blouse or a dress, and it's just lovely. It's beautiful. But I see the undergarments and I think I'm most intrigued by them. I think they're just the lace and the ribbons and all of that I think is just really beautiful, and I love the idea of wearing that as the full garment, especially because undergarments back then you would be completely covered anyways, so it's not really like you're wearing, you know, it's not like you're wearing underwear out and about. It's you know, it's a full length skirt and you know, you're completely covered on the top as well, but I just love that underwear as outerwear look. So yeah, I think in my personal style I wear a lot of lacy items, long skirts, puffy blouses, and ribbons. And I also like the exaggeration of the makeup. I like the dark lips, the dark eyes. I've always loved silent films and the beautiful movie stars of that time. And yeah, I just am really inspired by their beauty. I also love vintage Edwardian dolls. You know, a lot of times you see them and they come in like a little box with a few different outfits and accessories, and I just think they're just so darling, and I wish I had those clothes in my size. I just think they're so darn cute. Yeah, so I kind of am inspired by those little dolls as well. I really want to look like an Edwardian doll if possible. I think I have this sort of like romanticized idea in my head, and that's kind of what I try to emulate when I get dressed. And yeah, I just think it's a lot of fun. I've always loved to kind of play dress up in my clothes. I've always loved to collect vintage clothing, and so then I can just kind of dive into my closet and just kind of throw pieces out, put them together, and just play around and see what works and what doesn't, and create new outfits out of pieces I've had for ages that maybe I didn't think, oh, I could put this with this, and that's a whole new outfit, you know? You know, I like using different blouses and different skirts and, you know, layering under dresses and just kind of mixing and matching what you have to create, you know, twice as many outfits as you thought you could. And I think that's really fun as well. As far as where I get my clothes from, I thrift a lot of them lately. I don't come across vintage clothing as much as I wish I did, but I do find a piece here and there. So like this outfit I'm wearing now, this is secondhand, it's not vintage. Neither of these two pieces are vintage. This is just I think it's like an H&M or I'll show you an H&M or Zara dress. And this is just a secondhand little ruffly sheer blouse. Again, I like to push the sleeves up to get that kind of that bell sleeve, puffy sleeve look. Yeah, I really love to just thrift pieces that are pretty, and if you put them together, you can create a vintage look even if the pieces aren't vintage. You know, you can take a modern dress and a modern blouse and put them together, and you know, you're not really sure what decade this is. You know, I kind of like that as well, that you're not really sure, like, what decade is she from? I don't really know, but it's kind of like creating something new out of pieces that are from random shops and random decades, and creating something brand new out of it. That's one great thing about thrifting as opposed to buying vintage now. You know, prices have gone up in the past few years. You know, if you want a nice piece, you are looking at, you know, $150 or more for, you know, one dress or one skirt, and you know, not everyone can pay that for every single piece that they own. You know, I feel like sometimes on the internet it feels like some people have just unlimited money to spend on clothes and shoes and this and that or whatever, and you know, that's just not realistic for a lot of people. You know, I know that, you know, that's just the way the world works, and things get more expensive as time goes on, especially when it's rare. You know, vintage isn't so easy to come by nowadays, and so I understand that, you know, it is expensive and it will continue to be expensive, and that's completely fine. But you know, if you can't really, you know, manage to spend that much, you know, thrifting is a great second option, I think. You know, even if it's not, you know, 100% vintage, you can still create a look that you like with pieces that are more modern, which I think is also really fun. So yeah, I think that about sums up my deep dive into my fashion history. I really hope you guys enjoyed watching this. Thank you so much to everyone who has subscribed and liked and commented over the past few weeks. I'm just really happy to see that, you know, like anyone is watching at all, let alone actually enjoying what I have been posting, so I really appreciate it. And keep sending on the suggestions to me. I love to see what you guys would like to see in future videos. Also, I might do a Q&A video soon, so if you have any questions for me, anything about me that you guys would like to know, just go ahead and leave them in the comments below and I will get to answering those. Yeah, so thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!